This video was made because recently a lot of people have been asking us why the ocean doesn't just dry up, since it's constantly losing water through evaporation and what seems like a lot of water disappears every day. Also, lots of people pointed out that sand can absorb water, which makes you wonder even more. We decided to make this video to put your mind at ease once and for all. First off, have you ever noticed how big the ocean is? Seriously, take a moment and picture it. Now imagine all the water in the ocean evaporating. That'd be a lot of empty space, right? Well, to understand why the ocean doesn't just magically vanish, we need to do a little science experiment. Have you ever left a glass of water out in the sun for a long time? You might have noticed that after a while, the water level went down. That's because water can change from a liquid into a gas called water vapor and float away into the air. This process is called evaporation. So when the sun shines on the ocean, it causes the water to evaporate and turn into water vapor. But don't worry, that vapor doesn't just disappear. It rises up into the air and forms clouds. And when those clouds get too full, the water falls back down to earth in the form of rain or snow. And guess what? Most of that water ends up in the ocean again. That's why the ocean doesn't run out of water, even though some of it does evaporate. Now let's talk about the sand. You might have heard that sand is made of tiny rocks and minerals. When those particles are bigger than salt, but smaller than a sesame seed, they're considered sand. And that means there's a lot of space between each grain. It's almost like a bunch of little balls, packed tightly together with tiny holes in between them. Now, if you've ever built a sandcastle at the beach, you might have noticed that when you add water to it, the sand kind of soaks it up. And that's because all those tiny holes can catch and hold on to water molecules. But that's not what happens underwater. See, the sand at the bottom of the ocean is super compacted, which means the grains are packed tightly together with almost no space in between them. Plus, the water pressure under the sea is super intense. Just imagine being at the bottom of the ocean and having thousands of tons of water pushing down on you from above. That's why the sand at the bottom of the ocean is hard and compact, not loose and fluffy like beach sand. And when the sand is compressed like that, it doesn't have any holes for water to soak into. Okay, now let's think about this. If a few grains of sand were to fall to the ocean floor, would they soak up any water? Not really. The water pressure at that depth is way too strong. And also, remember that whole round trip thing we mentioned earlier? Yeah, that. The water that evaporates eventually returns to Earth and fills up rivers, lakes, and yes, oceans. So the next time you're at the beach and you see all that sand, don't be fooled. There's so much more to it than meets the eye. And it's the same for the ocean. Even though it might seem simple, there's a lot happening beneath the surface to keep those waves crashing forever. We hope you learned something new and exciting today. Remember, knowledge is power, and the more you have, the more you can achieve. So keep exploring, keep asking questions, and never stop learning. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn more amazing science facts, click the video that appears on screen now, and don't forget to subscribe.